Learn to improve conversions and generate more leads with the video podcast at marketingoptimization.tv.
Hi, and welcome to Marketing Optimization with Alex Designs. I'm your host, Alex Harris, and today we're chatting with Paul from Promodo. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing good, thanks, Alex. Yeah, hope you're doing well as well.
Doing great here. To get started, what would be your definition of optimization, and why is it beneficial?
Well, as of for me, optimization is really broad services. It's starting from this ACO, starting from conversion rate optimization. But in general, I would say optimization is kind of a range of the services that help you make your website better for users. We're not really optimizing for the Googles. We're not really optimizing for bots. We're optimizing for the people. We want to make sure that whatever we do with the sites, all the changes that we go through, starting from the design, implementation, and then further testing, it makes website easy for the user. So that's what I define as optimization. I think it's beneficial because we all human beings, and we use multiple different websites ourselves. So we are not just using our own website, we are using multiple others. So if the business owner will put a little bit more efforts into optimizing of every single website, then our experience over the internet will be much, much better. So I think that's the goal.
Yeah, it's too common that website owners, they just put a website up and they have that field of dreams. Oh, I'm just going to put it up, never change it, and then expect it to grow. And just like, going to the gym and working out, if you buy a gym membership and you never go, you're never going to get stronger. You're never going to lose weight. It's the exact same concept with your website. If you're not optimizing, if you're not measuring, you're not growing. So you have to continuously try to experiment. So, in this case, today we're going to talk about iterative testing for landing pages. And I saw you give a great presentation at the conversion conference all about how you lifted your lead gen conversions by 300%. So before we just get into that case study, what exactly is iterative testing to you?
Well, for me, iterative testing is it's the process when the whole team, including the business owner and the optimizers, designers, the developers, they work all together to somehow collect the data from the initial results, from the initial pages. Then they brainstorm about some extra new ideas. They set up kind of plans. They set up kind of goals that they want to reach. They set up also the KPI that they want to reach. And then once they define the plan, they actually implement that into the real website, design, and help business owners to reach better results, or alternatively learn from the failed tests. And like you mentioned, about 300% conversion rate increase for our specific clients. We went through 2 failed tests. When we failed up to 120%, but we learned from that a lot. And end of the day, I think after it was 5th iteration with the changes, when we don't really expect to get such a good result, but we finally get there because we learned so much from failed tests and from the iterations before the final winner of the page. So that's for me the iterating process.
Yeah, we've moved into this lean startup, growth hacking world, analytics, where we can test really fast. We have the tools in place to make our marketing more efficient. But the tools, they don't really understand human behavior. So we as conversion optimizers, we have to analyze those tests to really figure out why things have lost or why things have won, to continuously make our results better, increase our bottom line, increase that baseline. And as you mentioned, a lot of times what we find out is what wins, it could be a surprise, or what loses doesn't meet our necessary expectations. How does that really relate to our hypothesis? And that's the whole point of the iterative testing. How fast can we possibly fail or do something good enough just to ensure that we track the success? and then never settle. Continue to optimize, make it more efficient, and try to continuously increase that baseline. So do you guys have a strategy that you implement for iterative testing?
We have a pretty, standard process in terms of this testing. So we call it motto is like measure, analyze, test, and optimize. That's the plan that we are using. What I want to add about the different tools that are available on the market, they might provide you some data, but the only human being might analyze this data and provide some ideas for the new tests. So whenever tool you call, Crazy Egg, Optimize, or whenever, they will never come up with ideas. That's the one major thing. That's the one major reason why web designers, UI designers still exist. Because we are the person who come up with the ideas, and then we let technology to be a test platform for that. So in terms of the specific plan, so we are trying, the number one is just to sit down to analyze the different business goals. If the customer wants to increase like lead gen, or he wants to get like a lower bounce rate, or he wants to keep people more time on the site. So all those different metrics, and based on the KPI, in my opinion, the test and the approach to the testing is supposed to be different. Once we get this goal, then we will find out some analysis of the existing website or existing page performance. We're using pretty much standard Google Analytics. We are using some heat mapping tools. There are a bunch of them like Crazy Egg, and what we are trying to use mostly it's Yandex Metrica, something which is what I would recommend are the conversion rate optimizers just to test over. So the good thing about that is we'll keep the video recording of the real user behavior, so you can keep you can keep watching of the specific visits and see how people navigate through the page, not just the heat mapping. It's metrica.yandex.com. Probably there are a bunch of the others similar to that, but this is specifically, I love it because it's free and it's very easy for customer to integrate. So once we get this data, then we brainstorm and develop like a plan. We have like different priorities what we want to test, especially when we are trying to set up a test plan. I'm trying to get better in terms of the return of the investment and see what kind of changes we can implement faster and cheaper for the customer. And depends on the time as well. So instead of waiting like 2 weeks, for example, for the developers to implement like certain functionality, I would rather go ahead and start running some small tests first and then see how it goes. And then after that, we will just probably set up more time on the developers, just to integrate more difficult functionality or more difficult tests in place. And then absolutely collect some data and try to see what's actually working, what's not, and repeat this process. Repeat this process all over the time. Never stop.
And what's in the case of landing pages, it can work differently for lead gen, email opt-ins, product sales. There's many different types of landing pages. So how do you decide which metrics are the most important for you?
So in terms of the lead generation, obviously it's the CPA, the cost per lead. So in that case, my conversion rate of the landing page is just only one specific metric that gives me a sense of how I perform as a landing page. But obviously, that's why we're working all together with different agencies, with like digital marketers who drive the traffic to the landing page, just to understand what is the CPA of the account. So that's number one metric. In terms of the email capture, it's a little bit easy because there is no in many cases, email capture, it's something that you use on the existing website with the different pop-up messages. That's another story. Obviously, the more emails you collect, the better. In terms of the transaction, obviously we are using e-commerce analytics with the Google, just to understand what is the sale, what is the average sales per user and stuff like that.
Very cool. Yeah, it's interesting how you have these different conversion goals. I asked the KPIs because everybody focuses on the conversion, but as you mentioned, the CPA is actually most important. You can track your conversion. You want to increase your conversion, of course, but how does that affect your paid ads, your advertising spend? Because if you're not meshing it together to track your CPA, your average cost for your sales, and your ROI, then you're not sure really how much profit you can generate. If you want to increase your conversions, just basically give something away for free or make it work. But you have to calculate all that into your CPA. If you're doing lead gen for free trials for a SaaS product, you need to take into account those cohorts. How are they going to turn into real customers? Or lead gen, are they going to turn into real prospects or sales? So the lead score, or however you want to get more qualified leads, whatever you want to call it, it all really comes down to that CPA, that ROI.
Yeah, so that's why for me, optimization is it's like two different ways to increase your conversions. Number one, you can probably just remove any kind of traffic and just send the brand keywords to the landing page, and then probably you'll get 50, 60, 70% of the conversion rate. But that's not what we're actually looking at. We're not just thinking about the conversion rate alone. It's just, like you said, it's supposed to be always targeted to when you do by the driving the traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dig into this case study. If you're listening to this on the podcast, we are going to show some screenshots here, and you can see this on video at marketingoptimization.tv. Just look for Paul, and you can click on that video and watch the case study that we're going to go through right now. So why don't you take us through some of the examples, and we'll try to explain them for the audio listeners. But remember, if you do want to check out this video, you can go check it out at marketingoptimization.tv. Go ahead and take it away, Paul.
Okay, so I want to probably try to speed up the conversation and show you multiply different variations that we had, starting from compare the original landing page with the new one that we designed. So on my screen, which is slide 17, if you don't mind. So we have two versions of the landing page. On the left, that was the original page of one of our clients, and then on the right, that's the page that we come up with. So in that specific scenario, as you can see, we're trying to focus mostly on the very specific and targeted actions. So we tried to simplify the landing page as much as possible. We removed video, we removed any image, and we just tried to highlight, a very specific, like 3 features with the icons, and we tried to put Inc. 5000 logo just to convince people that this is a really trustful company. Like everyone knows, I think recently people don't really trust testimonials and they don't really trust all those logos. But in my opinion, if you are by any chance became an Inc. 5000 or Inc. 500, that's something that you should not really hide. So we put this here, and I think that was one of the key why this landing page, drives better conversion. So here on that sample, the conversion rate for the new page. Oh, and one more thing that I want to add here. As you can see, our page, the new page on the right, it has a very prominent header, hosted productive data, and the goal of the landing page is just to replicate a little bit the ad text on your Google AdWords copy. So make sure that the titles of your landing page is dynamically generated by based on what kind of ads you are driving. So we actually had multiply copies based on of the same form. So the same landing page, just different headers based on the ad, and it's really increased the conversion rate up to 130%.
Let me just explain this for the listeners. So the original baseline landing page, it's a very traditional landing page, just like you've seen every day. many people would say this landing page is basically good enough. It has the ability to watch a video, a clear phone number, asks for a very clear free trial, has a lot of information. It overall looks like they're trying to get almost all the information and copy on the original landing page. And what you did on the new variation in the new experiment is you took the exact same information and basically removed all the unnecessary copy, added some credibility with the Inc. 5000. You have a up to 400% efficiency increase, so some results, some specific results, some social proof, some testimonials, and then specifically you streamlined the form process to make it the center focal point, so it's a clear visual hierarchy straight down right into get a free demo. So overall the pages are dramatically different, but they're basically the same exact information, just reorganized.
Yep.
Cool.
And then once we increase the conversion rate over our first test, then we're trying to combine the previous version with the new design. So on our next test, what we did is we add the video. I mean, all conversion experts, traditionally, they think that adding video to the page will increase the conversion rate. So that was one of our assumptions. We add a little bit more text as a features, and we reorganize a little bit the form. So we kept the header of the form basically with the same keywords as the main header. And as a surprise here, we had about 80% decrease in the conversion. So this variation, unfortunately, did not really produce the results. I mean, they produced the results, but the results was not good enough. And we actually discovered that was personally a surprise for me. That was really a surprise for me because, traditionally I'm trying to improve, but that was really, the issue in that case.
It's interesting. You created, you had a quick win. You got that 130%, 150% increase, and now you created a new variation where you're iterating, and basically all you're doing is adding a video, maybe adding a little bit more copy back into the page, and by adding more content, adding more options, essentially adding more friction, you had an 80% decrease. So this is a example where you don't want to make any assumptions that adding more copy or adding a video may work for you. You make sure that you have to test it, because that could have been an 80% decrease in the amount of free trials that you collected.
So I think I want to mention one thing for our listeners. We're using iQuant platform, and I will send the link after the conversation to you. This is pretty much a very nice platform that help you to analyze the eye tracking. They have a specific predictions and the algorithm behind the system, and you can actually use that for free for a couple of tests. So before you even start using your new design, and before you even put it live, you can send this design to this tool, and then we'll provide you some information what potentially user will see on the first move once they land on the page. So that's why it's very important maybe for you to test that user will catch the information that you want to present them right in like few seconds. So we went through a couple of other iterations, and based on the failed tests, our assumption was, okay, if people wants to have like minimum information, let's keep it as minimum as possible. So our next test was basically built just by few assumptions. Number one, we removed everything, and we want to actually add some kind of relevant image that represent like a call center or something like that. So we put this image as the background and start running this test. And like in terms of the results, the new page, it was even worse than the good ones. Up to 150% we had like loose. So, but the good thing here, and that's a good learn from us, is that the CPA for the mobile devices actually improved. So the conversion rate for the that's a lesson for me, for other folks, that probably we should really measure the conversion rate differently for the desktop and the mobile users. And maybe, I mean, I know everyone talks about responsive design, but honestly, I'm thinking right now, and especially maybe for the landing page, when it's very easy to just produce like very specific mobile friendly and not just responsive, maybe creating a landing page just for the mobile traffic makes a lot of more sense. And testing mobile traffic and the desktop traffic, I mean, we should try to split that over into different tests.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. And I've seen the exact same thing. You know, it just makes sense. If you're buying mobile ads, it's so easy to just create a separate campaign specifically for mobile, have a mobile-only landing page, not responsive. If you open it up in a desktop, it's going to show really small on the page. It's whatever, 320 pixels wide or whatever size you decide to make it. Try that. It's almost guaranteed to work for some specific campaigns. It may not work for others, but you definitely want to try a mobile-only landing page. And this is another reason why you should test. They tried to add other imagery. Everybody, you've heard best practices. Add a hero shot. Everybody has told it. They added a hero shot and it reduced their conversion by 150%. Then they took that and they applied iQuant and they learned exactly how people were using it and then reviewed it in the mobile aspect and learned that the mobile experience of this particular variation, they can clone that and spin that off and use that specifically for mobile devices to decrease their CPA and make more money off of their mobile ads. Awesome.
So if we go deeper into our tests, then so what happens here is I was trying to start from scratch basically, and I tried to generate some extra ideas. And I, with my team, we decided let's go ahead and just back to the initial version, and then try to play around and understand what actually was working on this variation. So what we decided is we want to try to add back the video slides. What we decided is we want to keep the same 3 icons that highlights different features. We just change a little bit the colors of the icons so they will be more prominent. We decided that instead of the specific testimonials and Inc. 5000, we want to really put some testimonial from the specific company that might be relevant to other users. And the major change that happens here is we decided to specify the pricing of for the service. And another thing, traditionally if you go to the landing page, you have the form on the right. So what we did here is we put the form on the left, and that was really it was something that we actually did in the last minute before we put it live. We learned from other tests. And that's why I want to mention the website called Which Test Won. That's something that I'm looking into just to get inspiration. Sometimes you don't have your own ideas, so you just have to learn from other people and see if it will work for you. So I've got this information from Which Test Won, and then we put this in place. And as a surprise, the new page, finally, we managed to get about 120% increase in the conversion, even compared to the last winner. So that was a good move for us, and we decided that we want to keep a little bit more tests here. So we decided, okay, so let's try to combine all of our ideas, and we managed to create one more variation. Variation that has some relevant image with the lady with the headset, like a call center. We organized a little bit the page, so we keep the icons like a core features, we keep the form on the page, and we also integrate the video. So if you look into the final page that was obviously a winner, we had a very attractive header. We had a price information available for the user right here. And maybe we have a better conversion rates here because people, they know exactly the same ad copy on the Google AdWords. It also contained the pricing information. So maybe that's particularly the increase of the conversion rate was because we just drove more motivated traffic to the page. But in general, the video content and the form was there, and the final version we had about 130% increase. And then if we compare all of our tests with the initial version, then we've got about 300% increase. So that's just for everyone to know. They run those tests over, I think, 4 or 5 months. So we don't really have much traffic. So obviously, if you have much more traffic, maybe you can finalize the test faster. But the cost per click in that specific niche is quite expensive. So we had to play with what we had. So we run this test over the 4 or 5 months, and in terms of it was really cost effective for the client, because like the price for the landing page is not that high compared to savings in the CPA. And we decreased the CPA, I think, by about like 200% at least. So
yeah, when you do this upfront work, I mean, you said you worked on it for 5 or 6 months with landing pages and paid advertising, especially AdWords. It's expensive to drive traffic, so your traffic is probably going to be a little bit low. So it may take you 3-4 weeks to run a test sometimes. That's very common in small business these days. But on average, a test running 3 to 4 weeks, that's about the right length of time. If you could do it shorter, that's definitely better. But you're going to probably have to drive a lot more traffic, and it's going to get a lot more expensive. So it may not make sense to you. But in this case, let's walk it through from the beginning. So you started with the original landing page. The landing page there was nothing really necessarily compositionally wrong with it. It just kind of was a little bit dated, and it looked like it needed an overall refresh. It was already asking for a free trial. It already had a hero shot and a video. It just didn't necessarily mesh with the campaign that you guys were running. You iterated, you created a couple different variations. You tried, the form on the right, the form on the left. You tried a video at the top, the video at the bottom. You tried adding a price, even though it's a free trial, just teasing the price initially. And after all of those different learnings, you're able to combine everything together into a 300% increase in conversion from the original. And that's just dramatic, because not only is it the baseline and the foundation for all of your other landing pages for this particular company going forward, because you learned so much. Now you're going to get that compound effect every single month by reducing your CPA costs, removing all those negative keywords and increasing your profitable traffic. And now this company is going to just make a ton more money compounding every single month going forward. So doing that upfront work, that iterative testing, it could save you so much time and so much money in the long run.
So as I know from this specific campaign, the changes that were made to the AdWords, it was really minor. So we actually had something in place before we jump into this client. And our focus and our commitment to the client was like the increase of the conversions was almost the same traffic, was almost the same criteria that stay with the AdWords. Something that I have to mention, that besides from working with the landing page, we also created some new banner ads design. We also improved a little bit the website. So maybe there was some kind of consistency as well between the landing page and then the new site refresh. So it's all connected. That's what I'm trying to say. So even this remarketing. So if people will see and they have a very clear message on your AdWords, and then you take the better message from your text campaign and implement on your banner ad design, so that's why you probably should have some sort of good marketing advisor that might just look into your strategy, and in 1 hour, 2 hours, maybe provide you some extra ideas. So that's why community of conversion rate experts, podcasts. It might work quite well for everyone.
Yeah, as Brian Eisenberg kind of implemented in my brain, conversion is a journey, not a destination. You have to think about, especially as we move into this newer technology world, retargeting. What happens before they actually arrive at your landing page is almost just as much as important as how you optimize your landing page. So you need to take into account that holistic journey. If they arrive at your landing page, make sure you're putting retargeting pixels for Facebook and AdWords, so when they can get that traffic back in there. Because if someone's looking for, in this case, like a customer service software, it may take them a few weeks or a few months to kind of make that decision. So, get them to your site, retarget them, and then bring them back through your funnel to make sure it's a profitable one for you. Because, you want to keep top of mind to get people to try your software and eventually commit to actually becoming customers. Because, in the end, we want them to pull out their credit card and make that into a conversion. Great information right there. Let's talk a little bit about you. How can people find out more about you, and what does Promodo do?
Well, Promodo is an online marketing company. So we help businesses here in the Europe and the United States to run campaigns to drive more traffic through the search engine optimization, through PPC, Google, Bing, Yandex, different channels, Facebook, social, Twitter, all this kind of stuff. And plus, we definitely have a great UI, UX department that helps to increase the conversion rates. Traditionally, we're working with e-commerce businesses and lead gen businesses because that's type of the industry that we can really prove the results by numbers. That's something that I really like here. In terms of my personal, you can find me on Facebook. If you just type Paul Ryazanov, I hope that I can show on the first page and the first #1 result in Google. So it's if you want to shoot me an email, it's paul.ryazanov@gmail.com. So it's very easy. You can tweet me at Paul Ryazanov as well.
Very cool. What would you tell optimizers who really want to take their business and their conversion rates to that next level? What would be some tips to really get there in that mindset?
My personal experience working and talking to different brands is, I think sometimes, or on the maybe specific level of the company, the business owner became kind of disconnected from the marketing campaigns. Again, maybe that's not the case with your clients, but what I can see is that sometimes the business owner has kind of lack of the experience, or not even experience, but lack of the understanding of what's going on. So I'm talking to different marketers and I'm trying to send an advice to them. I'm doing like a free session, and if I get the marketer who wants to get some ideas, I would just jump in 20 minutes of my time and just give him some ideas. But what I can see, sometimes marketers, they're kind of lazy to do those tests, and it's very, it's really something that I want to improve. So I want marketers to be less, more proactive maybe, and less lazy just to run those tests. Maybe there is some specific disconnect between marketing department and technical department. I'm working right now with a company, and we want to do some tests. That's a big company. We want to do some tests, and I want to integrate the specific lead gen form into the page instead of using the pop-up message that they have. And they have some issues with the technical integration. So in my opinion, to make our life easy as a conversion expert and to drive better result, they're supposed to be kind of agency or the in-house engineers that work as a team together. That's what I think every business owner is supposed to do. Try to combine and make, get the team in place. Team that will be driven by the result.
Yeah, I think it's an essential part of new media and technology going forward. Conversion acquisition focused departments, it's all integrated going forward. It's not, conversion isn't a separate thing. Why are you spending all this money on advertising if you aren't trying to optimize it and convert it, squeeze more blood out of that rock? So, that totally makes sense how organizations, they put blinders on. They're like, oh, I'm going to start spending money on AdWords, and because I'm spending that money, I should automatically receive the results. It doesn't work like that. You have to be proactive, as you mentioned. Go after, try to find those opportunities. As simple as it is, QA your own website. Go through your own funnels. Weekly. If you're struggling, do it daily, because more than likely, if you're not converting, there's issues with that whole entire user experience, and the business owner should be the first one to find that.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Well, Paul, thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you for watching the Marketing Optimization Podcast with Alex Designs. Please remember to subscribe to all of the videos in my YouTube channel. Thank you.